Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Geostrategic Podcast.
Glad to be here.
Thank you so much for watching or listening to the podcast today.
Yeah, we've got a great one today.
We really do. The U.S. Air Force just made a shocking move, doubling its F-15EX fleet to 267 fighter jets.
But wait, why is America investing billions into a non-stealth jet when the F-35 already exists? Is this a brilliant war plan or a warning sign of something bigger coming?
It's a huge question.
Today, we break down the real reason behind this surprise decision and why China and Russia are definitely paying attention. Before we begin, hit like, subscribe, and share this video if you enjoy military analysis. And I want your honest opinion. Is the F-15EX smarter than the F-35 for future wars, or is this a mistake? Drop your thoughts in the comments right now. I'll be reading the best ones.
Yeah, and setting the stage here, this fiscal 2027 request it's not just some administrative budget update. We aren't just moving numbers around on a spreadsheet. I mean, jumping the procurement target from 129 to 267 Eagle II, that is a massive flashing neon signal of intent.
It really is. We are looking at a profound shift in how the military anticipates fighting a future large-scale conflict.
Okay, let's unpack this, because before we can really understand the long-term strategy for the Pacific, which is obviously where everyone's eyes are glued right now.
Oh, for sure.
We actually have to turn our attention to the immediate crisis forcing the Air Force's hand in the Middle East.
Right, the immediate pressure.
Because based on the latest updates, we have roughly 215 of those older Strike Eagles currently in the fleet, and they are actively taking hits. Like, they are absorbing real, undeniable combat losses.
Yeah, and to understand the sheer urgency of that $3 billion request for 24 new F-15EX jets next year, you really have to look at the severe attrition happening.
Just grinding them down.
Exactly, on the ground and in the air over the Middle East. The latest info out of Operation Epic Fury, it paints a very stark picture of the toll modern warfare takes on aging equipment.
It's brutal.
We've seen 4 F-15Es lost recently in that specific theater.
And the breakdown of those losses is what really caught my attention, because 3 of those jets were lost to Kuwaiti friendly fire back on March 2.
Yeah.
Wait, why are our own allies shooting us down? I think people hear friendly fire and assume someone just pressed the wrong button.
Right, like a video game.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But in modern combat, it's vastly more complicated than that, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. It highlights the extreme, almost incomprehensible complexity of the current airspace.
How so?
Well, when you are operating in highly congested multinational operations with layered air defenses active, the sky is just utterly saturated.
Wow.
You have incoming enemy drones, ballistic missiles, allied fighters, and, commercial traffic all moving at once.
Just massive signals.
Exactly. And in that chaos, electronic identify friend or foe system.
The IFF transponders.
Right, the IFF transponders. They can be overwhelmed, spoofed, or simply fail to broadcast clearly to a specific allied radar battery.
Jeez.
So a surface-to-air missile operator has seconds to decide if a blip on their screen is a hostile cruise missile or an allied F-15 returning to base.
That sounds like an absolute nightmare for the pilots and the air defense crews, honestly.
It really is.
But then, just a month later on April 3, a 4th Strike Eagle was shot down over southern Iran. And the latest news states it was taken out by a shoulder-fired missile.
Yeah, a man-pads.
Wait, an F-15 is a high-performance fighter jet. Aren't they supposed to fly way above the clouds? Why was it in range of a guy standing on the ground with a shoulder-fired tube?
That shoot-down underscores an entirely different vulnerability. A shoulder-fired missile, like you said, a man-pads, usually relies on infrared heat-seeking technology.
Right.
But they have a very limited vertical range. For an F-15 to be hit by one, it implies the aircraft was forced to operate at a much lower altitude.
Why would they do that?
Often, pilots have to dip below cloud cover to conduct close air support, to visually identify targets to avoid civilian casualties.
Oh, I see.
Or to navigate a restrictive electronic threat environment higher up. When they drop down into that lower airspace, they enter the lethal envelope of cheap, portable weapons.
So you combine those sudden, violent combat losses with the sheer mechanical wear and tear of F-15E squadrons constantly rotating through deployments.
It adds up fast.
Yeah. The fleet is basically being ground into dust faster than mechanics can turn wrenches.
Exactly.
And the Air Force was already proposing to retire 20 of the older engine F-15Es in fiscal year 2027. So it's like comparing the older F-15E fleet to a highly reliable work truck that is finally starting to break down after taking too much damage on rough, cross-country deployments.
What's fascinating here is the geostrategic reality of that recapitalization.
Okay.
Replacing those lost and aging jets with the advanced EX variant is a necessary maneuver to maintain fighter readiness within tight fiscal realities.
But we just need planes on the tarmac.
Right. If the Air Force retires those 20 older F-15Es without immediately injecting new airframes into the ecosystem, they face a dangerous capacity gap.
And capacity is everything.
In geopolitics, a capacity gap equals a deterrence gap. You cannot project power to adversaries if you simply do not have the physical aircraft available.
But wait, I have to push back on this.
Sure.
If recapitalization just means replacing old jets, why are we buying non-stealth jets to do it?
It's a fair question.
Right, like why wouldn't we just spend that $3 billion on more F-35s?
Yeah.
We've spent the last 20 years hearing that if a plane doesn't have a stealth coating, it's basically a flying coffin.
Yeah, that's been the prevailing narrative.
Isn't a massive non-stealth F-15 just target practice for China?
It sounds like a massive step backward if you only look at the aircraft in isolation.
Okay.
But the latest updates explicitly frame the Boeing-built F-15EX as a complement to, not a competitor with, Lockheed Martin's F-35A.
A compliment.
Right.
Yeah.
To understand why we aren't just buying F-35s, you have to look at transition timelines.
Oh, because of the training.
Exactly. An existing F-15E squadron, the pilots, the maintenance crews, the infrastructure, they can transition to the new F-15EX in a matter of months.
Wow, that fast.
Yeah. But transitioning that same squadron to an F-35 takes years of retraining, completely new supply chains, and specialized stealth maintenance facilities.
Oh, wow.
In a capacity crisis, time is the one asset you cannot buy.
Okay, so the Middle Eastern combat losses dictate the urgency.
Yes.
We need planes immediately.
Yeah.
But the actual capabilities of this jet, the lack of stealth, that seems entirely dictated by the Pacific theater.
Exactly. The vast expanses of the Pacific demand a very specific division of labor. Stealth has an inherent physical limitation that cannot be engineered away.
What's that?
To be invisible to radar, an F-35 has to carry all of its weapons inside internal bays.
Right, to keep the shape smooth.
Exactly. The moment you hang a missile on the outside of an aircraft wing, it reflects radar waves, and your invisibility cloak vanishes.
Makes sense.
But internal bays are geographically small. They heavily restrict how much firepower you can bring to the fight.
Here's where it gets really interesting, because the lack of stealth is actually the F-15EX's greatest advantage.
It really is.
Think about it like this for you listening. Imagine you were setting up a covert sniper operation. The stealthy F-35 is your lockpick, or like a ninja sneaking behind enemy lines, completely invisible.
I like that.
But the F-15EX, that's your heavily armed bouncer standing safely outside the door, ready to unleash a massive volume of fire from a distance.
Yeah, that spotter and sniper dynamic is the exact mechanism driving this procurement.
Really?
And advanced secure data links are what make it possible. Because the F-15EX doesn't care about being seen, it relies on a massive weapons rail capacity.
Because it doesn't need to hide.
Right. It can carry up to 12 air-to-air missiles externally. That is more than any current U.S. fighter in existence.
That is just an insane amount of firepower.
Through advanced sensor fusion, the invisible F-35 can fly deep into contested airspace, map the targets, and bounce that radar telemetry back to the F-15EX.
So the EX is just hanging back.
Exactly. It can fire its massive arsenal blindly over the horizon, relying entirely on the F-35's targeting data to guide the missiles home.
12 missiles per jet. That's an absolute arsenal. And we aren't just talking about small dogfighting missiles.
No, not at all.
The latest info ties these roles to homeland cruise missile defense and long-range Pacific strike profiles.
Yes.
If you consider the sheer size of the Pacific Ocean, an internal stealth bay physically cannot hold the weapons needed for that fight.
Consider the tyranny of distance out there. It's an ocean of immense punishing distances.
Right.
You need aircraft that can loiter in the air for extended periods far outside the range of the enemy's anti-aircraft batteries and launch heavy, long-range cruise missiles.
The standoff munitions.
Exactly. Some of these hypersonic weapons and long-range cruise missiles weigh thousands of pounds and are 20 feet long.
Why?
They physically cannot fit inside a stealth fighter. The F-15EX is essentially a high-speed, heavily armored flying missile truck.
A missile truck. I love that. So the contested, highly defended airspace, the deep penetration missions, those are strictly reserved for the F-35A and the new F-47 in development.
That's the stealth division of labor.
But once those stealth fighters map the targets, the F-15EX provides the overwhelming brute force firepower from a safe distance.
Precisely.
So what does this all mean? Like, if you look at the logistics, how exactly does a 267 aircraft fleet fit into the highly automated future of air warfare?
Well, the future fighter force will be a deliberate mix of fourth, fifth, and next-generation fighters.
A mixed fleet.
Yeah. They're modernizing F-16s, F-15s, F-22s, while fielding the new F-15EX, Block 4, F-35s, and eventually the F-47s.
But if you do the math on the current procurement rates, like roughly 24 jets per year, reaching that 267 target pushes us into the mid-2030s.
It does. It's a long game.
And we aren't just talking about manned fighters anymore. Are we mixing massive crewed missile trucks with uncrewed drone wingmen? Is that the ultimate hedge?
That is the most revolutionary aspect of this, the integration of uncrewed collaborative combat aircraft, or CCAs.
Right, the drone wingmen.
They provide additive, cost-effective combat capacity alongside the crewed fighters.
So a pilot in an F-15EX might be sitting hundreds of miles away, acting almost like a quarterback for a swarm of drones.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, a mixed fleet creates a deeply complex dilemma for adversaries.
How so?
It proves that raw stealth isn't the only metric that matters anymore. Capacity, payload, and the integration of uncrewed tech are equally vital to maintaining global dominance.
Yeah, imagine you're an adversary radar operator. You have invisible F-35s, autonomous drones jamming you, and an F-15EX safely out of reach, ready to unleash hell.
It's overwhelming by design.
But wait, the political reality here. Congress has the final say, right? They've repeatedly blocked old F-15E retirements while approving this F-15EX funding.
They have.
Why is Congress practically acting like an armchair general in finalizing these fleet numbers?
Well, keeping the Boeing F-15 line open ensures we maintain multiple fighter manufacturers.
Oh, to avoid a monopoly.
Right. It prevents Lockheed from having a total monopoly with the F-35, preserves jobs, and guarantees the Air Force actually gets the volume of planes it needs.
That makes total sense.
This raises an important question.
Yeah.
If the U.S. is betting billions on non-stealth jets designed to launch massive volleys of missiles from hundreds of miles away,
Right.
does that mean the era of close-in cinematic dogfighting is officially dead?
Oh, wow.
Are future air wars going to be decided entirely by who has the longest radar reach and the deepest magazine?
That is a wild thought to end on. Like, the whole Top Gun era might just be over.
It very well might be.
Well, thank you, everyone, for listening to or watching this deep dive into the latest info. We really appreciate you joining us for this conversation.
Thanks for having me.
And hey, be sure to check out and listen to the other deep dives on the channel. We'll see you next time.